Hi everyone, Hattori Hanzo here with Rhyme Signatures, the nerdiest music review this side of having some blonde American come into my restaurant one day and cause me to break my sacred vow to God himself about creating weapons. And today we're going to be doing a review of the new Deadly Carnage album, Endless Blue. I always love being taken by surprise. Musically, at least, that is. If you were to jump out at me from a trash can on my bike ride home from work, I'm more likely to scream like Marv from Home Alone does and veer directly underneath the nearest bus. With music, though, I am always up for a band blindsiding me. Be that with music that carries an unexpected emotional weight, music that worms its way into my subconsciousness, never to leave, or music that scratches the primitive ape-like functions of my baser instincts and reduces me to making Beavis and Butthead noises in the dark when I'm all alone. Funny then that Italian post-black metal band Deadly Carnage have managed to achieve all three of the above, and in doing so have catapulted both Endless Blue and themselves right to the centre of my heart, which they have been slowly melting over the last week or so with this absolutely jaw-dropping release. Now, this is my first foray into the band, but it just so happens that this is in fact their fifth full-length studio album. So these are hardly newcomers to the scene. It's just that Dolly Daydream here had never really noticed them before. But off the strength of this release alone, I'm most assuredly looking forward to glancing in the rearview mirror at some point on their previous output. So, who are these guys? Well, for those of you who are just as clueless as I once was, let's butcher the Italian language together, as I hilariously mispronounce every single band member's name. We've got Fabio Arcangeli on the bass, Marco Secchiarelli on the drums, David Bacci on guitars and piano, and Alexios Ciancio on vocals, guitars and synth. And they are currently signed to the rather aptly named A Sad Sadness label. They released their first demo, Noise of War, Noise of Doom, back in 2006, and their first studio LP came out in 2008 with Decadenza. So they've got some mileage built up already, having existed as a band for getting on to 20 years now. And it appears that, like so many bands before them, they've gone through a little bit of a stylistic shift during their time recording together. Their earlier works were much more typical black metal, but as things progressed, they dropped in a lot more of that sort of atmospheric sad boy post-metal vibe, evoking artists like Alcest, Mono, and We Lost the Sea. Honestly, I champion the change, as I've been craving this sort of music all year, and not one band has been able to truly scratch this enduring itch for me up until now. I'm a massive fan of the kind of dreamlike, ethereal soundscape so often associated with the post-metal movement, and to fuse it with black metal atmospherics and Japanese instrumentation makes Endless Blue one of the most immediately affecting and engaging records I've had the pleasure of listening to this year. I think I could quite comfortably say that this album sounds exactly how the album art looks, which is to say it is stunningly gorgeous. I mean, this really is the front-runner for my favourite album art of the year, and it feels so validating that the music that goes alongside this pretty picture is every bit as wonderful to behold and enjoy. The record starts off with an immediate blast from opening track Dying Sun, embracing that black metal aesthetic wholeheartedly, and kinda giving the listener the impression that they're about to be pummeled by blast beats and corpse growls until the early hours of the morning. But as these darkened clouds continue to roll in with the oppressive atmosphere building and growing, we slowly cut through to give way to one of the most heart-wrenching vocal performances I've heard in 2023, as Alexios bursts through the mire like a ray of sunshine, and the music similarly reflects this shift in tonality and mood. It is absolutely gorgeous and acts as a wonderful rug pull moment to what the first 90 seconds or so might have been setting up. The clean guitars build and build over the simple but effective drums and bass before the song explodes once again, giving a spine-chilling transition once more as the band embraces a similar aesthetic to Alcest's incredible record Les Voyages de l'âme. I'm a huge fan of this opening track, but this is honestly one of the weaker songs on here, as things are only about to get even more overwhelming. The transition into second track, Sublime Connection, is so subtle and effortless that it's easy to miss that we're now past the opening song, but it's such an amazing flow and keeps the album chugging along beautifully. Alexis' vocals continue to build and soar as the music elevates everything to an overwhelming boiling point. It all feels like a complete overload of the senses, as it can be hard to reconcile how powerful and emotional the music on offer here is. There's a sense of the softer elements of Deaf Heaven's Sunbather to a lot of what's happening on this track, but instead of George Clark's goblin-like screaming, we have a soothing balm instead to guide us through the experience. It's at around the halfway point of this song that I got my first genuine goosebumps. It happened on my first listen, and it's still happening on my 10th listen. There's something so incredibly warm and comforting about this album that's quite hard to put my finger on. The song fades out to gentle whale song, and we transition into the first of the more thematic tracks on the album. There's definitely a vibe of ancient Japan about this album, reflected beautifully in the album art and reflected beautifully in the third track, The Clue, reminding me a lot of parts of We Lost the Sea's classic epic Challenger Part 1 Flight, before the haunting Japanese string instrumentation cuts across the top of the distortion and noise, really bringing a strong, dreamlike texture to the overall mood. It's a fantastic moment, and one of the first times among many that I openly swore out loud the first time I was listening to this. The whales return at the start of fourth track, Blue Womb, and the record takes a necessary breather from the sheer intensity of the initial three-song burst to allow the listener a chance to catch their breath, and also to showcase just how effective minimalism can be. There's nothing technical or showy going on in this song, but the simplicity of it all is so memorable and appreciated in the middle of this massive wall of music that this song really did strike a chord with me. And man, will you ever appreciate that breather, because buckle up, Buttercup, Deadly Carnage are going in hard with the second half of this album. Fifth track, Mononoke, absolutely takes no prisoners, coming out hard with some riffing and heaviness that wouldn't feel entirely out of place on a Cult of Luna album. It's aggressive, intense, and absolutely chokes the sunshine out of the sky. I'm personally rather in love with this slice of oppression, especially given how nice the band was being to us only minutes ago. But fear not, weary traveller, as once again Alexis is on hand to again be the ray of light in the suffocating darkness. The way that the band interplay the light and shade between the music and vocals reminds me, thematically at least, of Astronoid, who similarly employ music far heavier than the vocals would suggest appropriate. It's this last three-song run of Swan Season, Moans, Grief and Wails, and Unknown Shores, though, that Deadly Carnage truly had me in the palm of their hands. This is quite possibly my favourite three-song run from any album released this year so far, and it's honestly difficult to put into words just how good this sequence is. The seagulls of the ending of Mononoke lead us directly into an absolutely bewitching vocal melody, and I am immediately at peace in the wake of the intensity of the previous song. There's such a strong and tangible texture to the entire sound here. You can, practically reach out and scoop up the music with your hands with how malleable it feels to the ears. Again, though, there's nothing especially complex or intricate here. It is an exercise in less is more, and how the very best post-metal is about creating that sense of scale. A breathable atmosphere and a music that feels like it's flowing through your very bloodstream. At just before 3 minutes, when the string instrumentation kicks back in, I feel like I'm about to ascend to another plane of existence. It comes in at just the right time and scratches just the right itch, and really does show off that this album is all about timing and how well positioned and thoughtful every single transition and mood is throughout the experience. Penultimate song, Moans, Grief and Wails, brings back the heaviness again, showcasing the excellent balancing act that the band are performing on this album, as it once again returns to that sort of Cult of Luna style heaviness. But while it never quite plumbs the depths of the blackest pits of despair that the Swedish masters do, it certainly shows you just how deep the crevice is, constantly teetering the listener over the edge of oblivion. And at last we come to the end, with the final track on the album, Unknown Shores, where the band hits out hard with this incredible melody full of sadness, regret, joy, pain and nostalgia. I seriously can't speak highly enough of just how rewarding and how climactic this song feels. Everything builds and builds on the central melody, adding depth, notes of subtle spice, flavour and warmth, and then the sound of rain. Delicate and soothing, with the strings playing across the top as we, the listener, look out of the window of our cosy room to the sight of the sun setting behind the mountains as it all fades out, and we're left with nothing but the feeling of completion and absence. It's a bone-chilling end to an extraordinary album, and all I want to do is press play again and again and again. So what else can I say about Deadly Carnage's Endless Blue? You guys know me well enough by now. I love it when a band I've never heard of comes out of nowhere and upsets the apple cart of my favourite records of the year so far, and Deadly Carnage have come worryingly close to upsetting my existing top 3. This is an album I want to just throw at people, an album I want to be known for as being its hype guy. I want more and more people to hear this record so I can geek out about it with them. Do I have any complaints? Honestly, very, very few. In fact, the only thing I would have liked is perhaps to rearrange the track order maybe just a little bit. It can feel a bit weird to transition from the whale song at the end of Sublime Connection into a song without it, and then the following song of Blue Womb then starts up with what I feels like is a continuation of said whale song. I don't know, it just feels like maybe those songs were supposed to follow each other, but what do I know? Honestly though, my complaints are all so minor that they're barely worth even mentioning. Deadly Carnage have crafted something absolutely exquisite here, and this is music that has come to me at precisely the right time and exactly when I needed it. At a tidy 39 minutes long, this album is just short enough to be easy to spin multiple times in a row, and long enough to feel like the band hasn't cut any corners or compromised on their overall vision for the album. My recommendation for this one is extremely easy, guys. Get yourself a physical copy of this one, if only to have something with that stunning album art on it to display somewhere tastefully inside your own home. This is all, of course, guys, as always, just my opinion, so if you have listened to Endless Blue, please tell me what you thought of this record in the comments down below. If you like this video, please do share it around with anyone else who you think would possibly enjoy it, and please do consider subscribing to the channel for more content. I will leave my link tree down below where you'll find all the places to find me on social media, as well as a link to my Ko-fi page if you're feeling particularly generous and want to help support the channel. But until next time, guys, as always, keep your rhyme signatures extremely odd.